Okie dokie boys and girls, it is day 353 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only, and today we have another squatting day, and it's all about stimulating the body but not the entire system, because the work has been done. When it comes to squatting, last training I did my last heavy training, 52 kilo pistol squats, and the next one is gonna be my 1 rep max attempt, hopefully squatting 60 kilos, but you know, in order to do so, I have to recover right now because you're not getting stronger during your training. During your training, you're beating yourself up, you're beating your body down, and it's actually getting weaker, but then afterwards, once you recover, that's when you get stronger, you know, during your, when you're eating, when you're sleeping, that's when you get stronger. That being said, you know, if you don't do anything at all for like a week straight, it's like a machine, you know, a machine, if you don't use it, it's gonna get rusty, it's gonna get, stuck, it's not gonna function properly anymore, it's gonna make weird noises. And the same thing is true for your body. If you don't use it, right, if you don't keep it in motion, then it's gonna feel rusty, it's gonna feel sluggish, it's gonna, forget all of the techniques that you've learned, right, and all of the movement patterns. So today's purpose is just to, stimulate the body in an efficient way and target the muscles that I'll need on the pistol squat when I attempt my 1 rep max. Obviously, the main muscle group being the quadriceps. Today, that's what it's all about. So I'm gonna try and stimulate my quadriceps, and it's kind of this type of, I guess, training that bodybuilders do, where you really try to feel the movement in the muscle. And in order to do so today, on the pistol squat, what I'm gonna do, or what I usually do, in order to feel my quadriceps better is, well, first of all, I also need this for flexibility, but I put my heels on a bit of an elevation, as you can see, right? And I do this mostly because I'm not flexible enough to put my heel on the ground, but also what this will do is it will allow your knee to go further over your toes, and basically this stimulates, or your quadriceps will be stimulated a lot more. Also, what I try to focus on is, on the way down, I try to basically get my heel as close as possible to my glutes, my ass, right? Instead of leaning backwards, and this will like really allow my quadriceps to be fired up, as well as when I'm going up, I'm gonna try and push from the heel. So, I'm like driving my heel into the mat, and that will really, again, emphasize the quadriceps. So those are kind of the tricks I use to really get my quadriceps engaged in the pistol squat. That's kind of the technique things I try to think of when I do the pistol squat. And yeah, I'm just gonna do slow negatives, try and do the technique as clean as possible today, and then afterwards we can move on to another exercise. So 28 kilos, not that much weight, 61 pounds, and basically 5 sets, 6 reps, and yeah, hopefully it should not be too hard. I don't want to go to my absolute other max today. Alright, so I decided to keep it at 4 sets instead of 5, because I did feel a lot of tiredness in my legs still during those pistol squats. However, I am not discouraged, because despite that, like at the end of those 4 sets, I was thinking to myself like, holy hell, how is this so light? How am I still so energetic? Even though I was feeling tired, the weight just kept moving up. Like usually on set number 4 and 5, I'm pretty tired. I didn't feel that today. So even though I'm still tired, I already feel a lot of energy, and that's a good sign for what's to come. I'm excited for Sunday. That's all I'm gonna say. But even though it did feel good, I don't need to stimulate my legs anymore. 4 sets of 6 is still good volume, and basically I don't need to tire out myself more. I would rather spend some of that energy continuing greasing the groove until Sunday, because I am doing light squats every day in the morning and the evening to basically polish my technique, and I would rather spend a bit of energy on those sets to keep my technique polished until Sunday than trash a bit too much today and then have to consider not doing the greasing the groove, if you get my point there. But nonetheless, that's it for the pistol squats, and now I'm just gonna finish off my legs a little bit. I'm gonna move on to the sissy squats. No Bulgarian squats today, because I just feel like I can target my quadriceps and only my quadriceps a little bit better with the sissy squat. Because when you think about it, the Bulgarian squat, like this, you go down with one leg in front. It's a compound movement, there's multiple joints moving, and so it's easy, or it just happens that you target multiple muscle groups, so not only the quadriceps, but also the hamstring, also the glutes. And with these pistol squats, really the only thing that's moving is your knee, so it's focused entirely on the quadriceps. And what I try to do with the sissy squats to basically target the quadriceps as good as possible is to drive my toes into the ground. So the sissy squats, it's done on the tippy toes, you'll see it in a moment, but without bending your hips, you're kind of gonna go forward like this until your knees almost touch the ground, or touch the ground if you can do it. But it will really put emphasis on your quadriceps, and you can emphasize them even more, I feel like, by on the way down focusing on slowly pulling your toes away, right? But then on the way up, driving your toes from this part where they are attached to your feet, all the way into the ground, just forward as hard as possible, as if you're trying to kick a soccer ball with the bottom part of your foot. But this will really put a lot of load on the quadriceps, and also only the quadriceps. All of the other muscles are not gonna get a lot of any stimulus, right? Maybe there's a small activation, but really just not even worth noticing or noting. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do as the final sit. I'm gonna make this a drop sit as well. So what I'll be doing is sissy squats, and once I can't do them anymore, I'll only be doing the negative part, and then I'll be pulling myself up with my hands. And basically, because I can't go up anymore, I have to pull with my hands, but I can still do the negative part, because it's easier to control the way down than to go up again. So once that's done, I'm gonna move on to something I like to call bunny squats, which is basically a squat, but you're doing it on your toes. So it's a sissy squat where you're bending your hips as well. I guess it's a combination of a sissy squat because you're on your toes, and a normal squats because you're bending your hips, but it also targets the quadriceps a lot because your knees are moving over your toes. So let's go. Okie dokie, so that's it for today's training. If you think about it, only 5 sets. This training didn't take long. I think it took me a bit longer than, maybe just half an hour, if you don't include the warm-up. Yeah, that's not a lot of sets, not a lot of time, but just enough to spike the nervous system, to basically trigger my body to recover the legs a little bit more, because I'm gonna need it on Sunday. But nonetheless, even though it wasn't a lot, I still have a bit of a pump, so quite happy with that. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's workout. And basically, training, when we go back to how Master Roshi explains training to his students, he says, well, you have to work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. And I think for every training enthusiast out there, which I hope you are if you're watching this channel, but training or the working hard, which is training and studying, it's not that much of a problem, because either you're working out or you're looking at YouTube videos trying to find new ways to work out, or you're reading something on the internet, right? You're trying to find out more about training. That's the easy part. But even if you were to magically be able to give your 100% at all time on those two parts, which you can never give your 100%. You will think you're giving 100% today, but in a couple months you'll realize that there was still lots of things that you could evolve. But nonetheless, right, if you're giving your 100% of what you're capable of today, right, on those two parts, guess what? There's still more to do, right? There's two parts left, and that is to eat and sleep plenty. And I think, that is where most of us will struggle. Even if you love the training, even if you love exhausting yourself, if you love studying about it, oftentimes, sacrificing the time to sleep, right, when you can do nothing, or to, take maybe like a hot bath instead of a quick shower, to just recover, or spending time stretching, spending time, loosening up the muscles, all of these things that you can do to, improve blood flow and mobility and prevent injury. And, there are so many things you can do for recovery, and I feel like that's where most of us struggle. But, this week I really have to dial it in. Lately, I've actually been on a stretching and loosening up the muscles spree, so I'm very proud of that. But yeah, today I'm gonna do that as well, but this week especially, not going below 7 hours of sleep, trying to eat all the food I can, or the food that I should eat at least, and basically it's weight game until Sunday. Tomorrow's gonna be a hamstring day as well. I was originally planning on going for the 50 Nordic curls already, but I think it's just gonna get in the way of the pistol squat, which at the moment is #1 priority. So I'm gonna do something different and basically challenge or tackle those Nordic curls afterwards, after the pistol squat is done. But very exciting stuff coming up, and I guess it kind of only makes sense. There's less than 2 weeks left in the bulk. I cannot believe I'm saying this. 1 entire year of bulking, but the best is yet to come. I'll say that much. And yeah, that's it for today's training. Very happy with how it went. I'll head downstairs and have some dinner, and see you tomorrow for hamstrings.